Good day, young ladies and gentlemen, especially to our instructor, Ma'am Judy A. Cornelia. I, Jessica M. Torres, and Eliza Torres will be your reporters at this moment. On the previous discussion, we have unlocked and discovered new knowledge regarding Gagné's conditions of learning. We knew that it is a means through which individuals and groups acquire relevant skills to be accepted in society. Here and now, let's proceed to another theory put forth by an American psychologist, David Ausubel, which is the meaningful verbal learning or subsumption theory. In this module, challenge yourself to attain the following learning outcomes. Explain Ausubel's subsumption theory. Determine the uses of graphic organizers. And use advanced graphic organizers for a topic presentation. Many educational psychology theory often criticize the expository or presentational manner of teaching. They say that teachers assume such a major role in learning as providers of information, while students remain as passive receivers of information. Nowadays, we are aware that teachers employ a variety of teaching methods, including expository teaching strategy. When you say expository teaching, it is our normal concept of teaching wherein a teacher is in the front of the room teaching and students are taking notes. Students are being told what they need to know. This teaching method is somehow effective, but it is not efficient. It is like a double-edged sword. Though it has positive effects, we cannot deny the fact that it has negatively impacted the students, wherein no student input into lesson and therefore may fail to foster deeper learning. Instead of criticizing this manner of teaching, David Ausubel proposed ways of improving it. He suggested the use of advanced organizers. His ideas are contained in his theory of meaningful verbal learning. What is this theory all about? Meaningful verbal learning is one of the theories of Ausubel, which is, according to him, meaning is created through some forms of representational equivalence between language and mental context. To put it in another way, verbal learning is a meaningful transaction of knowledge. Along with meaningful verbal learning, subsumption theory and motivation theory are the other theories of Ausubel. But in this module, let's put greater emphasis on subsumption theory. The figure presented is an advanced organizer. Study it. Read the words found in the box. Examine how the lines connect the boxes. Describe the advanced organizer specifically and how the words are related to each other. Why was the advanced organizer presented before the discussion of the topic? Have you noticed no nga usa mo start ang discussion sa every module, there's always an advanced organizer? I am pretty sure that you all have noticed it. How can the advanced organizer help the students? Let's find out the answers of these questions as we dig on to the topic. The main theme of Ausubel's theory is that knowledge is hierarchically organized, that new information is meaningful to the extent that it can be related, attached, or anchored to what is already known. Thus, Ausubel believes that learning of new knowledge relies on what is already known. That is, construction of knowledge begins with our observation and recognition of events and objects or concepts we already have. For instance, we, students, rather than just being inactive and passive recipients of information like maminaw lang ta kung unsay ingon sa maestra or gipang discuss sa maestra, we can relate the new information that we acquired to the information that is already present within our minds, instead of building an entirely new cognitive structure. Therefore, ang atong mga information o knowledge nga nakuha from the discussion are sorted out and organized. In addition, Ausubel theory is about how individuals learn large amounts of meaningful material from verbal or textual presentations in a school setting. And remember, in order for us to learn meaningfully, we must relate our new knowledge to relevant concepts that we already know. Our new knowledge must interact with our knowledge structure. Ausubel later on proposed the use of advanced organizers as a tool for learning. Let's proceed to the focus of Ausubel's theory. The most important factor influencing learning is the quantity, clarity, and organization of the learner's present knowledge. The present knowledge is said to positively influence both knowledge acquisition and, of course, our capacity to apply higher order thinking skills. This present knowledge consists of facts, concepts, propositions, theories, and raw perceptual data that the learner has available to him or her at any point in time. This comprises his or her cognitive structure. So when you say cognitive structure, this is the organization, stability, and clarity of knowledge in a particular subject. As what I've said earlier, meaningful learning takes place when an idea to be learned is related in some sensible way to ideas that the learner already possesses. Ausubel believed that before raw material can be presented effectively, the student's cognitive structure should be strengthened. When this is done, acquisition and retention of new information is facilitated. So the question is, how to strengthen the student's cognitive structure? The way to strengthen the student's cognitive structure is by using advanced organizers that allow students to already have a bird's eye view or to see the big picture of the topic to be learned even before going to the details. This is one of the importance of advanced organizers as it directs students' attention to what is important in the upcoming lesson. Ausubel's belief of the use of advanced organizers is anchored on the principle of subsumption. He thought that the primary way of learning was subsumption. What is subsumption? Subsumption is a process by which new material is related to relevant ideas in the existing cognitive structure. In other words, it is the process of building cognitive structure by subsuming or including new information into it. Likewise, Ausubel pointed out that what is learned is based on what is already known. What we already know determines what, how, and how well we learn. In other words, prior knowledge. According to him, new things that we want or need to learn need to be connected to what we already know. This signifies that one's own prior knowledge and biases limit and affect what is learned. Yes, it is true. If you don't already know a lot about a certain topic, your ability to learn new information will be constrained. Also, retention of new knowledge is greater because it is based on prior concrete concepts. Meaningful learning can take place through 4 processes. First in the list is derivative subsumption. This describes the situation in which the new information you learn is an example of a concept that you have already learned. In other words, it is when you add new things to existing cognitive structure, linking them to concepts already known. Let's say you have acquired a basic concept such as bird. You know that a bird has feathers, a beak, and it lays egg. Now, you learn about a kind of bird that you have never seen before. Let's say a blue jay. That conforms to your previous understanding of bird. Your new knowledge of blue jays is attached to your concept of bird without substantially altering that concept in any way. Kay paglantaw nimo sa blue jay, pareha siya sa previous knowledge nimo about bird nga naay beak, naay feather, and will lay eggs. Thus, ang imong concept about bird kay wala na usog. Through this way, you had learned about the blue jays through the process of derivative subsumption. Let's proceed to another process, which is correlative subsumption. This describes the accommodation of new information by changing or expanding the concept. So, if in derivative subsumption, there is adding of new things to existing cognitive structure, in correlative subsumption, on the other hand, there is adding of new concept or new details to what you already know. Therefore, if sa derivative subsumption, there's no alteration of your prior knowledge, in correlative subsumption, there is a change or expansion of your prior knowledge. Examine this example. Now, let's say you see a new kind of bird that has a really big body and long, strong legs. It doesn't fly, but it can run fast. In order to accommodate this new information, you have to change or expand your concept of bird to include the possibility of being big and having long legs. You now include your concept of an ostrich to your previous knowledge of what a bird is. This time, imuhang previous knowledge about bird kay nadungagan the moment when you saw an ostrich, leading you to understand na naaday ubang bird na dako, taas og legs, ug dili makalupad. Through this way, your knowledge about birds has been expanded. You have learned about this new kind of bird through the process of correlative subsumption. In a sense, you might say that this is more valuable learning than that of derivative subsumption since it enriches the higher level concept. This time, let us learn more from my co-member Eliza Torres.
The next is superordinate learning. It is when you knew a lot of examples of the concept, but did not know the concept itself until it was taught to you. For example, you knew about banana, mango, dalandan, guava, but you did not know until you were taught that these were all examples of fruits. So when we say superordinate learning, this describes the situation in which the new information learned is a concept that relates known examples of a concept. Another example is when you knew about nara tree, a sambakita, a nahaw, but you do not know that these things I have mentioned are part of the national symbols of our country, which is the Philippines. You just know the certain examples, but you are not aware of the topic in general if it is not discussed to you. The next is combinatorial learning. It describes a process by which the new idea is derived from another idea that is neither higher or lower in the hierarchy, but at the same level in a different but related branch. For example, to teach someone about how plants breathe, you might relate it to their previously acquired knowledge of human respiratory, where man inhales oxygen and exhales carbon dioxide. This is because they are related to each other, as they are both labeled as process of breathing. When we say combinatorial learning, it is when the newly acquired knowledge combines with prior knowledge to enrich the understanding of both concepts. For example, to teach someone about pollination in plants, you might relate it to previously acquired knowledge of how fish eggs are fertilized, or kanang sa humans, which is they also use the reproductive parts to produce an offspring. And now let's move on to advanced organizers. The advanced organizer is a major instructional tool proposed by Ausubel. The advanced organizer gives you two benefits. Number one, you will find it easier to connect new information with what you already know about the topic. And number 2, you can readily see how the concepts in a certain topic are related to each other. Ausubel advocates the use of advanced organizers as a mechanism to help to link new learning material with existing related ideas. With the help of advanced organizers, learners can learn and retain knowledge. Ausubel's theory of advanced organizers is composed of 4 types, and these are expository, narrative, scheming, and graphic organizers. The first type is expository. It describes the new content. Expository advanced organizers give students a broad idea of the lesson's purpose before the lesson begins. For example, a teacher may tell students what the lesson's goals are. We've talked about what habitats and why some animals prefer to live in different places than other animals do. Another example is when doing an experiment. Before starting your experiment, you will first identify the objectives, because that will be your basis on your experiment. The second type is narrative. It presents the new information in the form of a story to students. When we say narrative organizers, this utilizes a story structure to convey information. This type of advanced organizer, presents new information in the format of a story. For example, a teacher will provide the main and important concepts of the lesson by telling a story that includes these concepts. A story map is an example of a graphic organizer that helps students learn the elements of a narrative. So it is composed of the setting, the theme, the characters, and many more to mention. The third type is scheming. It is done by looking over the new material to gain a basic overview. So when we say scheming, this refers to looking only for the general or main ideas, and it works best with nonfiction materials. With scheming, your overall understanding is reduced because you don't read everything. You read only what is important to your purpose. For example, when studying, we often focused on the highlighted terminologies only in our instructional materials because we think that those highlighted ones are important because if we read all the coverage, it is time-consuming. So we tend to remember only the important ones. The last type is the graphic organizer. Visuals to set up or outline the new information. These may include pictographs, descriptive patterns, concept patterns, and concept maps. So when we say graphic organizers, it constitutes the biggest category of advanced organizers and can take a wide variety of forms, including tables, Venn diagrams, flowcharts, and concept maps. They can be used to help students see connections between concepts, the steps in a process or sequence of events, or simply to organize students' thinking before, during, or after instruction. And now let's move on to the application of principles. The most general ideas of a subject should be presented first and then progressively differentiated in terms of detail and specificity. He called this as progressive differentiation. Progressive differentiation is the process of meaningful learning in which learners increase the degree of elaboration of a concept as they increase their understanding about it. For example, if you are teaching 3 related topics, you just have to pick the one who has bigger ideas, then after elaborate the details and along the way point out the 3 topics, point out what the 3 topics have in common, and of course, identify their differences. Instructional materials should attempt to integrate new material with previously presented information through comparisons and cross-referencing of new and old ideas. So the course contents this means that the course contents should cover both the previously learned subject and new information, as well as the comparisons of new and old ideas. So this ends our report. Thank you for listening, and may God bless us all.